Welcome, everyone, to our Talk About It Tuesday. Listen, I am so excited about this topic. Thank you all for joining us on tonight. Our topic is speech, language, hearing awareness as it relates to kindergarten through fifth grade children. And we have a special guest that is with us on tonight, and that is none other than Miss Desiree Darby. Thank you, Desiree, for joining us on Talk About It Tuesday. So listen, I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to join in with us while we are getting started. Listen, if you're joining us, let us know. Say hello. Let us know who you are. Say hi to us if you're just joining us. I'm your host, Cheryl, and I'm looking forward to this topic. We'll give everybody about 2 minutes to join in, and go ahead and share this video out. Share this video out. If you are on with us live, go ahead and share this video out. And yes, if you have any questions for Desiree, we're talking about speech, language, and hearing, SLH. So if I say that during the podcast, that's what we're talking about, SLH, speech, language, and hearing. So go ahead and share this video out as it relates to kindergarten through fifth grade children. As we were talking about before we went live, I don't think this is a topic that's talked about enough. So go ahead and share it out. Share it out with us. And I just want you to know that we are streaming live. Okay, we are streaming live with you, and we will be live in the chats. This is pre-recorded because it's an interview, but we are in the chats. I'm here with you all, saying hello with you all, okay? Saying hello with you all. So any questions that you have, look for the answer in the chat. Actually, not verbally, but it will be in the chat. So we'll be communicating with you all there. All right, we'll wait, give you about 15 more seconds. Go ahead and share this video out. Thank you for joining us. Desiree Darby. All right, let me make sure I'm covering everything. All right. So, yes. So welcome again. Welcome everyone to our episode of LightItUpTV Kids Podcast, Talk About It Tuesday. And as I was saying, our topic tonight is speech, language, hearing awareness as it relates to kindergarten through fifth grade children. What we will be doing for the month of May is we are going to be focusing on different awarenesses, okay? And we were just looking through, there's so many different awarenesses that are going on for the month of May. But as you know, we focus on kindergarten through fifth grade children and their parents and the parents of kindergarten through fifth grade children. So with this episode, I thought it was very good that we have Desiree Darby, who is a licensed speech language pathologist. Did I say that right, Desiree?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm so used to saying just speech pathologist. So you can clear that up for me. Like, is it the same? Do I need to be including speech language in there? Or can I just say speech pathologist? Okay. So Desiree, tell us a little bit about yourself and clear that up for me in the process of whether I need to say, because all my life I've said speech pathologist, especially in my earlier years, 10 years in education. Speech pathologist, but I notice now that it's speech language pathologist. So tell us about yourself. What is it that you do? And clear that up for me.
Yes, ma'am. So again, my name is Desiree Darby. I am a licensed speech language pathologist, and we do include that language in there because we work on speech and language.
Okay.
Pathologists, we treat disorders. And so that's what we are. I have been practicing now for about 8 years. I have a combination of experience in private setting, in the school setting, and also in assisted living facilities.
Oh, wow. 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 So Desiree, tell us, and I thought this was really interesting. And thank you for clearing that up. Did you all hear that? What she said? She said it's a combination of speech and language. And she's going to break that down, the difference, a little bit later, because I had a question on that. So we'll break that down. If you know the difference between speech and language, let us, what do you think? What do you think the difference between speech and language is? This is to our audience. What do you think the difference is when you talk about speech and then you're talking about language? What do you think that difference is? Drop it in the chat. Let us know. We will be communicating with you all in the chat. All right. So, Desiree, I wanted to know. Okay, yes. Thank you, Christina. The difference between speech and language. I wanted you to share because I was just interested. What made you go into or get into speech language pathology?
Yes, ma'am. So growing up, I always thought I wanted to be a teacher. I love kids. I love working with kids. I believe the Lord has definitely given me a unique gift in being able to connect with children. So I've always wanted to work with children in some aspect, but I've also wanted to work in the medical field in some aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if I really wanted to be a doctor or a nurse, but I did want to work somewhere in the medical field. And speech pathology is one of those things that kind of falls in the middle. You get to work with children. If you decide to go on the medical side of it, you can work on the medical side. Again, working with children, you get that educational side of it. And so, again, it's just one of those things that falls right dead smack in the middle of wanting to work with kids and also wanting to be in the medical field.
And I had no idea that. Like, I knew, of course, you work with children, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you spoke about the medical aspect of it, I was like, But you actually have to look at different disorders. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I have a young lady that I know that I went to school with. Of course, I never had an opportunity to get in depth with her about her reasons for choosing, but just to hear that, I thought was very interesting. All right, so let's jump on in to my first question. Okay, I think you answered this a little bit, but what specifically is speech language pathologist? What all do you do?
Right. So a speech language pathologist or an SLP,
okay.
We work to prevent, diagnose, treat speech and language disorders, social communication, cognitive communication, swallowing disorders in children and in adults.
Okay, now you got to break that down for me.
It's a lot. It's a lot. We do a whole-
So you said you treat and what else?
We prevent, and diagnose.
Diagnose. Mm-hmm. And what were the areas that you said again?
We have speech, language, social communication, cognitive communication.
So when you're talking about cognitive, that's where I wanted to stop at. So break all that down for me, like the different aspects of that as a parent, because I am, and you all, I want to know, have you all heard a lot about speech, language, and hearing? I was sharing with Desiree, as an educator for 8 years, I knew that we had in a school, in an elementary school, I work with kindergarten through 5th grade children. And I knew that we had a speech language pathologist, but I never really knew exactly all that they did or what that entails. So how many of you all, let me know in the chat, have you all heard a lot of information as a parent, kindergarten through 5th grade, or as a like I'm a grandparent now, but grandparents, do you all know a lot of information? And if you do, share with us on how you got that, that information. I'm talking to people in the audience. How did you all get that information to know? Because I was in the schools and I didn't hear a lot about it. So break that down as they are putting in the chat there, whether they either yes, no, and if they did yes, how did they get that information? Desiree, please let us know, break that down, those components that you help with. What are those components that you're looking at when you're talking about the different areas that you all help with?
Right. So when you talk about a speech disorder, so that's more so of your like articulation, how you enunciate and pronounce certain sounds, or
Um,
your fluency. If your child might be a stutterer, so that's when you a speech disorder that falls under
mhm.
that diagnosis.
So stuttering falls under speech disorder.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And so then when you talk about a language disorder, that's more
Mhm.
your like understanding. So your receptive language, how much that you understand of what's going on around you, sharing your thoughts, your ideas, your feelings. So your receptive and expressive language. So receptive language is how much you understand. Expressive language is the amount of words that you use or the amount of words that
Receptive, how much you understand. All right. Okay.
you
Y'all see me take, you all better be taking notes. Okay. I'm taking my notes. Receptive, I can't do a whole lot because I have to come back and listen. But receptive, I'm going to put receptive, understanding. And then
right?
what was the other thing you said?
Expressive.
Expressive. And that is the
That's the
amount of words.
yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Continue. I'm ready. All right. Go ahead.
Language. So we got speech, we have language, then
Uh-huh.
communication is when a person or a child has trouble using like social or verbal cues or understanding like social cues. And typically you see that when if children have a diagnosis of autism. Um,
Okay.
that's typically
Mhm.
you see like social communication disorders. So they have
Okay.
a little bit of trouble using appropriate greetings and farewells, or asking appropriate questions,
Mhm.
um, talking in different ways to suit different listeners. So knowing what type of language to use with an adult, knowing what type of language to use with a child
Mhm.
here. So that's what you think about when you think about a social communication disorder.
Okay. Now, for some people that may think that when you talk about SLH, speech, language, and hearing, and
Mhm.
you're focused on just speech language, right? So the hearing is that another facet? Is that somebody else? Or because I know the awareness said when I looked it up, this May is National Speech Language Hearing Awareness Month. So where does the hearing come in at?
Hearing comes in with an audiologist. So we can't diagnose hearing disorders, but we do work directly with an audiologist to help treat if a child has is hard of hearing, deaf or hard of hearing, or is going through some type of oral rehabilitation.
Okay. So, all right. That's good to know. So you all work. So when it comes to the speech and language, that is the speech language, of course, pathologist, that is your focus.
Yes, ma'am.
This is really good. So where some people might think where speech language basically only deals with children that are diagnosed with autism, is that the case?
No, ma'am. That's not the case at all. You have
Mhm.
developmental delays where
Mhm.
it's kind of slowly progressing, not meeting their milestone as quickly as typically developing peers. Um, children with just speech disorders don't always have autism. They just may have
Mhm.
articulation impairment or phonological impairment, or even children with language disorders. They just, may have a little bit of difficulty with understanding language.
Mhm. That is really good to know. Now, you talked about those milestones. Are there milestones that where kindergarten through fifth grade children that parents should be like focusing on? Is there like a list or a printout, or is there like certain particular ones, especially in the early years, that they should be looking at or focusing on? Any specific things?
Parents can go to a national website, which is asha.org, ASHA.org, and they have in the website the milestones when it comes to school age. In the school system, what we focus on as SLPs is how a child's disorder or disability are impacting them in the classroom. So when you
Mm,
articulation, if they are misarticulating a sound, are they also writing it the wrong way? If
mhm.
they are having trouble answering questions, can they not follow along in the classroom when the teacher is reading and then we give a response. So we're looking at how is it impacting them in the classroom and how is it impacting their education. So that's what we look at the school system.
Do you feel that as parents, GGs, grandmas, aunties, that village surrounding the kindergarten through 5th grade children, do you feel that we should be the first people to pick up on those things, or should that be the school's responsibility to let us know?
It just depends. I mean, when you think about a child being in school, they spend most of their time at school. If parents or, that village or grandparents have a concern, it is definitely, they are definitely able to present that concern to the school, to the teacher, and say, hey, I have this concern about my child. Is this something that we can look into? Is this something you're seeing in the classroom? Because this is what I'm seeing at home.
That I like that. To that correlation and that connection between the classroom and at home, just seeing what is being seen at home and then what is being seen in the classroom. That is very good. Okay, so listen, our topic tonight, if you are just joining us, our topic tonight is speech, language, and hearing awareness as it relates to kindergarten through 5th grade children. And this month, May, is Speech, Language, Hearing Awareness Month. And so I'm so glad that we are able to provide information to all of us, because in some way or another, we are all in the lives of our kindergarten through 5th grade children. We are their village. So I'm so glad that we are getting this information. We have speech language pathologist Desiree Darby with us. And so Desiree, we are taught, you've answered a question about the different aspects of what speech language pathologists do. Now, my question is, are you all only in the schools, or are you private as well? I'm looking at and can parents contact you directly? So I have a list of questions that I'm just serious. I was so interested in this topic because I really feel that this is something that is not that has not been talked about enough. Desiree, would you say that?
Yes, ma'am. I would definitely say that. It is very often that we as speech pathologists know that other people understand exactly what we do. Because many times you tell somebody, oh, I'm a speech pathologist. Oh, you teach people how to talk.
Right.
Not really.
Right.
Not really what it is. No. I mean, in some aspect, yes, that's what we do. But as we talked about earlier, there's so many other things that we cover as speech language pathologists. And the question about, do we just work in the schools? No, we're working in schools, we're working in private settings. There's speech pathologists who like to do home health. There's in hospital settings, in rehab centers, assisted living facilities. There are so many places that
Did you all know that? Tell me in the chats. I'm just curious. Am I the only one that that I'm getting this information? Let me know. Did you all know that speech pathologists are in all these different areas? She said they're in the schools, they are private, they're in assisted livings, they're in, what else did you say, Desiree?
Home health.
Home health. Like, that is just, I didn't know this, because again, that's what you think, right? Okay, speech pathologists, they help people, they help children learn how to talk, right? So okay, all right, so that is that question. So we found out that you all are in that speech pathologists cover an array of different areas, places. Do you all have any questions? If you have any questions for Desiree, ask it now. Like, this is the time that we want you, again, this Talk About It Tuesday is for us to have real, authentic discussions about the challenges that our children face, information that we have, parents, the different questions that you may have, us to just have real, authentic dialogue and discussions around the topics that surround the parents and the children when you're talking about kindergarten through 5th grade. All right, so let's see, what else do I have? Can parents can they contact, like, if they have a concern, like we were talking about? You said that they can tell the child's teacher or to say that they have a concern. 2 questions. I have so many, but what's that process? Once the parent tells the teacher, what happens then? Because a lot of times I'm talking as an educator, things fall through the cracks.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And I guess I'm a little concerned also. I know I'm veering off, but I'm just a little concerned because as an educator, I wish that somebody would have came to our classrooms so that as educators, we can be aware of everything that speech language pathologists help with, right?
Right.
If I'm a master degree educator, and I taught children in kindergarten through 5th grade.
Right.
And I'm thinking about children now that just as you were talking, like, man, maybe I should have, did some referrals to get them a little more when especially when you talked about the language and the understanding of the language, like when they're reading, is that what you're talking about and you're pertaining to?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, when it looks like I'm just working with the child, and it seems like something is very simple. And I remember having this yes. And so anyway, I'm just, yes. So can parents contact you? What is that process? What is that process like from them telling the teacher? What happens then?
Mm-hmm. I want to touch on something that you just said, as far as you wish that an SLP maybe would have come to the classroom and explained something to you about what we do. I know I've been in the school district for a few years now. That's where I started off when I graduated in 2016. But that's been something that we've been trying to be better at doing, because we see that as teachers as well, don't really know what they should be looking for, when to make a referral, when is it I bring this student to you to say, hey, I think we have a few concerns.
Right.
Can you come in and, take a look and see that I'm seeing? So as SLPs, we're trying to do a better job of making sure that teachers, admin, the rest of the staff in the school are educated on what we do.
Yes, thank you. That is so awesome because y'all, I'm a passionate educator. Like I'm the one I'm going whatever it takes. If I have to stay to 6, 7 o'clock, it may not be the healthiest thing, but I'm passionate about children and their education and their spiritual well-being and their academic well-being emotionally. Like I am just passionate when it comes to kindergarten through 5th grade children. And I just feel like I'm getting emotional now. Like, man, like I'm so serious. Like, I'm just like, how many kids that I could have gotten the extra help had I known, right? But so thank you for that effort that you all are trying to do to just educate the teachers so that the teachers can know what to look for, right? So thank you. All right, what is that process, Desiree?
So if a parent has a concern, yes, they can make that concern, address that concern to the teacher. It is then the teacher's job to bring that concern to what in the school system, what we call a MTSS team. So that's your multi-tiered support system.
Okay.
And the multi-tiered support system is comprised of a speech pathologist, the psychologist, an assistant principal, this child's teacher, and a response to intervention teacher.
Okay.
So that concern is brought amongst the team as a team to decide, is this something we need to further look into?
Gotcha. Okay.
Further look into it, and then we talk to the parent, and after that it is determined if the child would need an evaluation or if they just need a bit more time, or if we can just provide some strategies and intervention to the teacher to implement in the classroom.
Okay. Is this something that's funded? Is it something that parents have to pay for? Is this does this come along with them being in the public education setting?
Ma'am, this comes along with being in the public education setting.
Awesome. All right. Are you all learning anything? I know that I am. I have so many questions. If you have any questions, please drop them in there. If you're like me, and I know that we have parents that you all might have questions and might need some better understanding on something, ask it in here. We will be communicating with you in the chat. All right, I'm going to try to speed this up. So many questions. Okay, let's see. We talked about the different milestones. Okay, what are some of the simplest issues as a speech pathologist that you work with kindergarten, 5th grade children? And then what are some of the I would say the most complicated or challenging. I don't know what is the terminology? Issues, disorders, or things. What are some of those things? What is the terminology? Is it disorders or
delays?
Delays. Okay.
Can be interchangeable.
Okay.
But in the school setting, you said the most simple ones that we see, I guess.
Yeah.
Simple ones that we see are like your articulation and phonology. Now we can say simple in forms as, I guess, just addressing it, but it can be complex. Their delay or disorder in articulation and phonology can be complex.
And when you say articulation and phonology, give us an example of that.
So articulation is just when they're misarticulating certain sounds. So maybe your child has a lisp, so their tongue outside of their teeth. Maybe your child misenunciates like the D, or just one sound or a couple of sounds.
Okay. That's articulation. When you talk folks like on just like maybe one or two sounds. Okay.
Yes. Phonology is a group of sounds. So those are your clusters, your blends. So slide, swing, slap, snow. So any consonant clusters.
Like st, right? It's like ST, the ST, right? And I said that. Let me tell you why I asked that. My son had that, and that was he was very smart. He was 2 grades ahead. But he had this thing when he was younger, I think maybe 7 years old, maybe 6 years old. But I think it might have been, I don't know, it was one of those blends maybe, or one of the sounds. And they referred him to a speech back then. I don't think the language was in there, Desiree. I don't think the language. I remember just they were saying we're gonna refer him to speech. That's what I remember them saying.
They probably said speech teacher.
Yeah, we're gonna send him to the speech teacher, speech lady. I don't think because this is over 20 years ago. We're gonna refer him to the speech lady, right? The speech teacher. That's what it was. That's why I asked, what is that? Is that language in there now? And so I remember them referring him, but he wasn't in there long, and it helped. It helped him. I think he was in there maybe a few months, and then afterwards he was fine with that. But I noticed it, and I'm like, and I told them about it, and they referred him. So that would be an example of articulation.
That would be an example of phonology.
Oh, phonology, because it was the blend, a group of sounds.
Yeah, or if they're missing like the K and the G, so we call those your velar, your back sounds. So cat, cow, car, or what's your G sound? Go.
When you say back sounds, what do you mean by that?
It sounds that come from the back of your throat, your velar sounds. So those are
wow.
Technical, but yeah, those are your velar sounds. So sounds that come from the back of your throat.
All right. See, I'm asking you all, did you all know this? Did you all know anything about this? These sounds coming from the back of the throat and these different. Listen, this is so good. Now, my next question, as it relates when I was talking to you about my son, I noticed that his daughter, my granddaughter, who's 2.5, has the same thing. When I heard her talking to her, I was like, oh my gosh, your dad did the same thing. Is it hereditary?
It definitely can be. We have seen where, parents say, well, I went to speech. And then if they have multiple children and say, yeah, well, all my kids went through therapy for something. So it is definitely something that we see that is hereditary.
Wow. Have you all noticed that in the chat? Have you all noticed that, parents, has your child worked with the SLP, speech language pathologist, and what was your experience? Oh, that's a great question. Parents, has your child worked with a speech language pathologist? And if so, what was your experience with them? What was your experience with them working with that speech language pathologist? Like, how long did it take? Was that speech language? Did you feel that it helped? Yes, that's a great question. All right, so it can be hereditary. And let's see. We talked about some of the most common delays. things that you help parents that you help children with that parents may not think about? What are some of the things that you may help them with that we may not think about as a village for kindergarten through 5th grade children?
So in the school setting, again, what we look for is how something is impacting the child's education.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about speech or you think about language, the biggest one I don't think that parents recognize is like social communication. So
Mm-hmm.
your peers, how you use appropriate greetings. Your eye contact is very important when you're talking
Really?
to your or your teacher. The level of your voice is important. Making sure you're using your inside voice and not your outside voice.
And the appropriate times, I guess, when to use those appropriate voices.
Right.
And it would be a concern if somebody just always used their outside voice and never able to rein that in. Okay.
Another thing is also kind of like their emotions. So getting children to understand, like, I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm angry. So understanding the differences in emotions and how to express those emotions appropriately.
I was going to say, how did their emotions relate to speech and language? But their emotions and getting them to express their emotions, that's something that you all really.
Yes, ma'am.
So an example is just what you said, like them being able to identify and being able to say it again.
Identify how they're feeling, and then put that feeling into words. I am upset because, and that goes into like your receptive language again. So are they understanding why they're upset? Do they have expressive language? Do they have the amount of words or the correct words to be able to use to express why they are upset?
Is that going to the cognitive as well?
Yes, ma'am.
When you said that, that's what I thought about, the cognitive. Wow. That's really good. Okay. Wow. All right. Listen. Okay, we're wrapping up, Ms. Desiree. We're wrapping up. Are you all learning something? This is so good. I am so glad that we have Desiree on here with us. We're talking about speech, language, hearing awareness as it relates to kindergarten through 5th grade children. Now, I want to share along the lines, Desiree, when I said about something that you all work with that parents may not be aware of. I was doing my research just about when I realized that I didn't know a lot about it when I saw the awareness month for May, awareness being a part of the month of May. But it said that hoarseness, it said voice. It says that voice and hoarseness and losing their voice. How is that something that you all as speech language pathologists can help with?
That is something that we can help with. It definitely has to be identified, probably maybe by an ENT, to go and determine, does the student have vocal nodules, vocal polyps? Why is it that they're so hoarse? Do they have excessive drainage from their ears? Have they have infections? And so again, like we talked about, that medical side of it, the medical side kind of fits in to understand what else is impacting them.
Wow, I just thought that was very interesting. You all, isn't it interesting? Would you all have ever thought that there was a relation to speech language pathology and with a child being hoarse or their voice? And so I just thought that was interesting. Okay, now this is a question that I have. In my research, this is what I read. It said higher screen use is associated with poorer language skills in toddlers that can lead to later learning challenges. So I'm going to read that again. It says higher screen use is associated with poor language skills in toddlers that can lead to later learning challenges. So I thought that was very interesting, being that we had a topic in one of our first episodes talking about screen time. We all know that screen time, excessive, right, is not good. But when it said the relation between that and language, tell me about that. Is that true?
That is one of the biggest things that we are fighting with now as SLPs, that parents just not understanding that the excessive amount of screen time is impacting their child and their language. Because when you think about being on the screen the entire time, when we're looking at a screen, there's one part of our brain that's being activated. When we're sitting down, talking to an individual, playing, reading a book, that's a different side of our brain.
Wow. Okay, hold on now, Desiree. Like, I want you all to listen to this, because when I read this, I said, oh, I have to ask this question. So you're saying that when a child, or any of us, but we're focusing on our children, kindergarten through 5th grade, when a child is just watching a show, only one side of their brain is being activated.
Right.
Wow. And language, is that what has to do with the receptive and expressive? Is that where we're talking about language, right? Girl, y'all, I'm learning, you all. Listen, all right. So, but whenever they're doing anything else, reading a book, having conversation,
right,
playing, anything else, you said that those activities uses those activities use a different part of the brain.
Right. Yes, ma'am, it does. And so, I mean, let's think about it as when we go to the gym. If we go to the gym and only work on like our right side, or we only do legs, and we're going to be weaker in whatever area we did not.
Ooh, that's good.
So when you think about just having so much excessive screen time, they're going to have delays in their social language, in their receptive language, in their expressive language. Time definitely diminishes the quantity and the quality of interactions that children have with their parents, with their peers. And so that results in fewer opportunities for them to practice the things that they should be doing. Again, screen time is not bad. It's not bad at all. Could they be watching educational shows? Yes. But after you finish watching that educational show, let's talk about it. What did you see? What did you learn? What did you hear? Or don't just sit in front of the screen and leave them. Sit there and watch it with them, and periodically pause it and say, hey, what is Pete the cat doing as he's walking down the street? What is Miss Rachel showing on the screen now? So they're trying to give the educational side of it, but there's still a piece that is missing, which is that direct social interaction with the human.
Wow, that's deep.
It is, and it is a battle.
That's deep.
Right.
So it's not enough just to sit my 2.5-year-old in front of Miss Rachel to just let her watch Miss Rachel. It's just not enough. In order for, if I want her to be able to excel academically in all areas, right? You're saying that I need to, once we are watching Miss Rachel, because Miss Rachel's shows are about an hour long.
Yes.
It's a long time just to be operating in one side of the brain, as you said.
Absolutely.
And I like what you said about periodically pausing it and communicating with them to get that other side of the brain active. And what blew me away just now is the analogy that you shared, you all. That when you said it's like going to the gym from a person that works out all the time and only working one part of your body, what happens to the other parts? Right. And that makes so much sense. I love that analogy that you shared. And so some of the things, like you said, is we could let them watch the educational shows, but still we need to pause it periodically, ask them questions, get those other parts of the brain flowing. And you said we do that and when they're doing different things, you said they can do playtime. And you said asking questions, reading a book, all those other things is what we need to make sure that we are getting the other. But if we, for some people that I've heard or seen, parents, that are concerns where parents let their children watch 4 and 5 hours of just TV, that means that only that part of the brain is being active. Wow.
Right. And I know a lot of times what we hear is, well, we just give it to them to calm them down because that's the only way they can calm down. It's only an appearance that because their brain is every bit of their brain working hard to keep up with the pace of the visual stimuli that they're watching. So things on the screen move so much faster than we do in life.
Wow.
a slower pace. When we're playing at a slower pace.
Mm-hmm.
When we're reading, it's at a slower pace. But visual content comes in so much faster, and so it's making their brain work double the amount of time to try to keep up with it.
Wow.
Keep
Wow.
up with the normal paces of life. Again, like we don't operate that fast in life.
Right.
You see, when the child is in school, they have trouble sitting down in the classroom. They have
Mm.
trouble attending. They have trouble, completing
Wow.
work because their brains are constantly working super, super fast. And so when you try to slow them down, that honestly, like, it either overstimulates them or understimulates them because
Wow.
they're so used to this fast pace from
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to the screen.
Wow. Wow. I just never looked at it. And I wonder, parents, have you all ever looked at that whole aspect of it? We all have heard about screen time, but just how it affects so many different things. And like you said, even not only with the other part of the brain, but because there is moving at such a fast pace, even in the classroom when we have to get our, or even at home when we have to get our child to slow down enough to do this other activity, or just to sit enough, or just to without the screen.
On the screen. Yep.
Yeah, that is so, oh my goodness. All right. We're coming to a close. We're coming to a close. Again, put your questions in there, you all. Put your questions in there. Let's see. Do you all help adults also? Or do speech pathologists help adults also? Or is it just children?
Yes, ma'am. We work with adults as well. Those are typically your medical-based SLPs.
Mm-hmm.
So work with adults who have suffered from a stroke, TBI, who have Alzheimer's, have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, dementia, and that way we start to work on like more of your memory things, more of your activity, daily living.
Wow.
Swallowing is a big thing that we see with adults, and also voice disorders is something that we see a lot more with adults.
With adults, okay. Wow, that's just, it's the fact that you all help with so many different things is so good. All right, I think this is one of our last questions. Is what I guess are there, and I think you said the website though. What is the importance of you said the website for parents to know what they need to be looking for? Is that right?
Yeah,
That website. What is that website again for parents? So that parents, if you like, for the different milestones or things that they need to be aware of, they just for their own information, what is that website that they can go to?
They can go to asha.org, ASHA.org.
ASHA.org, you all, and you go and find those milestones to find out where our children are. If you have any concerns or questions, or you just want to just sort of take a look at it, I know that I'm going to pull it just to take a look at it to see, okay, what I need to check off, if there's anything else I need to be working on. And then as it relates to speech and language, which speech is not just communication, it's understanding. Whenever we're reading, whenever we're asking the child after they've read something, tell me about what you just read, to explain to me, what is it that you just read? What is the main idea? Just all of that has to do with language, right? And then expressive part, them being able to share, because I remember coming across children, I knew they knew, but they just weren't able to share it effectively. They just weren't able to share what they knew, right? But I had to answer them on a paper. They would get it right, but just them being able to express it. So all of that, this is so good. Okay, what is the importance of parents, I guess, catching these things or doing these things early, getting the awareness, getting the help for the children early? What is that importance?
Right. The early intervention is key. It is, once you feel like you have a concern, I've always tell my parents, like, trust what you feel. If you feel like, I think I might need to go either ask my pediatrician or ask my child's teacher. If you feel that way, then go ask. It is no harm in asking a question. It is no harm in getting the information, because what you don't want is there to be in this and the time is delayed, and now it just takes a little bit longer for them to get caught up, because in the school system it's a process.
Yeah,
So
wow.
I'm
You know about
talking
that.
about making the referral to the teacher, and then the team coming together to decide if the student needs an evaluation. Then the evaluation has a process, and then you go through all of that, and then we finally get services started. And so the longer you wait, the longer the time is for services to be implemented.
That is so good, because I remember parents to say, well, what is taking so long? Parents know there is a process when it comes to when your child is in school and there is a concern, there's a whole process. So even if I have an idea, if it's just something that I want someone to pay attention to or to look at, still mention it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Parents still mention it.
Still mention it. And don't forget about your pediatrician. There's also someone that you can make these concerns to. And then that, if you make that concern to your pediatrician, he may refer you to an outside speech therapist or an outside.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's not just, we don't have to rely on just the schools. The parents can actually relate these issues, these concerns that they may have. If they have even an inkling, something that they want to just mention, they can mention it to the child's pediatrician. I love that. Did you all learn something? Did you all learn something? This was so awesome. Thank you for joining us in the comments. This was so good. Desiree, as you're thinking about some last words for our parents, listen, yes, we got to check out a page for resources from Believe Pediatrics Therapy Team. I'm going to let Desiree share, because Desiree, I don't know if we mentioned this, you work for both the school. Did we talk about that?
I don't think we did, no ma'am.
Yes. Okay, tell them, Desiree, like, you work for the school system, but you also have your own practice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that as we're closing.
So I run Believe Pediatrics Therapy Team. It's myself and my business partner, Latanya Lemon. We are both licensed and certified SLPs. We provide speech therapy to children in the community. So we provide it in community locations like your libraries, your parks, community centers, your daycares. So we don't offer home health services right now, but we do provide them in community spaces.
Wow.
We accept Medicaid clients and private pay clients right now. You don't really have to have a doctor's referral. So if you just reach out to us and you have a concern, we can talk about what that looks like.
Yes, and this is their contact information. You all take a picture of this contact information. This is Believe Pediatrics. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Believe Pediatrics, www.believepeds.com. All right, so this is them. Their website is up there. Their email, therapy@believepeds.com, 803-563-7204. This is so amazing. The fact that you all, you said you all go in community spaces. That is very innovative. And it's very helpful, not only innovative, but helpful to the community. What is the youngest that you all see the children of what ages, Desiree? I know we're talking about kindergarten through 5th grade, but what age children do you all see? And what is the youngest that a parent could have a concern with?
We take birth, so baby net takes birth to 3. And then once you age out of baby net, it's 3 and up.
Wow. You all heard that. This is some really good information, so that parents, we have your contact information. And also, Desiree, you have an event that's coming up. You all, this is an event. I want Desiree to tell us about this event that she has coming up this weekend, May 18th. Tell us about it, Desiree.
Yeah, so this is a free event. One of our visions with our company is, again, to provide the resources and tools and techniques that parents need to understand their child's communication and what they should be looking for, to hopefully close the gap in these delays of when children are being identified as having communication disorders. So this weekend, we are hosting an event called Two Truths and a Lie. We will break down communication and autism, what communication looks like for a child who has been diagnosed with autism. Again, it is a free event. We will be hosting it at the Richland Library in Sand Hills from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So if you are interested, visit our website, visit our Facebook or Instagram page, click on the link and sign up via Eventbrite. Again, it is a free event, and we would love for you to come out and learn what it is to have an autism diagnosis and what it is to break down that communication of what that looks like.
This is so good. I'm going to see if we can post this on our page, you all, so we can share this out when we post it. Please share this out, share this event out, because information, us being able to get that information and use that information is so powerful and is meaningful for us as of the village for kindergarten through fifth grade children. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. And listen, in honor of SLH, Speech Language Hearing Awareness, I just want you to type in the comments, SLH aware. That's it. Type SLH aware in the comments. SLH aware in the comments. SLH aware, because this is something you all, and if you've learned something, just type anything, any little thing that you've learned tonight. We want to know. Let us know, what did you learn tonight? I learned a whole bunch of information that I could use and I can share with someone else, right? Desiree, any last words, anything, information, anything as we're closing that you want parents to know?
Again, just early intervention is key. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. If you're unaware, you're unsure, just ask the question. Feel free to use the resources that have been provided to you. And again, we as Believe Pediatrics Therapy Team, we are here to help. Our goal is to help our community and to bring awareness to communication and speech and language disorders.
I love it. Ask the question. That is a good one. Ask the question. That is a good one, you all. That's a good one we can put in there. Ask the question, because that was the one thing I wanted to know. Is it, because some people say, oh, you bother me, or just this little thing, or that might be something as parents, we might feel, as a village, we might feel that teacher or somebody, they might just not say, they might, they're saying it's too small that you concerned about this, but ask the question. Believe Pediatrics is here. Desiree, are you willing to answer questions from parents if they want to contact you?
Ma'am. Yes. Love answering questions.
And you all take forms of payment. You all take Medicaid as well, right? And other insurances as well. You all ask the question. There it is. Believe Pediatrics. That's it for tonight, you all. SLH aware. Ask the question. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Light It Up TV Kids podcast, and share this discussion with us. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and share this discussion out. That's it, you all. If you think of any other questions, just go ahead and put it in the chat, even if it's afterwards. All right. Until next time, remember to light it up.